Okay, so if you would all like to just start to make yourselves comfortable, so you can come into your lying down position. So wherever you want to be, and obviously you're at home, so you can really be anywhere, any surface that feels comfortable, whether it's the floor or the sofa or a bed or whatever is good. And then so we'll just take a little bit of time to relax now. So because we're on the floor a little bit more than usual and a little bit longer than usual. So if you're down on the floor, there's obviously less pauses for me to say, oh, have a drink. Um, so just, if you feel that you need to get out of a pose and to have a drink, just really to say have a drink whenever you need to. So we'll gather the extra props. So we're also going to include supported bridge pose. So you could use a bolster or you could use a block for that. So we start by resting in our chosen position and just start by allowing the shoulders to spread. You might roll your head a little from side to side. And then it's an invitation to imagine now a cool blue light surrounding you. So surrounding your body, the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. And have a sense of this light widening outwards, so creating an aura of light around you. And feel it pulsating with life and energy. And allow this light to be a healing light. So if you feel in need of healing, either mentally, emotionally, or physically, allow this healing to take place while you relax. And start to take your attention to the breath, allowing the belly to slowly rise and fall with each breath without altering the breath in any way. And just witness the rhythm, the flow, slow coming and going of the breath, the evenness, quiet rhythm. And allow the body to just be. And you might start to become aware of a gentle melting down onto the floor. And sensing the colour blue now soaking into the body. So drenching all of the cells with fresh life force, with prana, with balance. And allow yourself to gently surrender to any healing that you might need, whether it's mental or physical, emotional. And now take your attention all the way down to your feet. Allow the toes to spread and separate. And turn the toes inwards and flex and release. And allow your instep to let go. So the foot, the ankle, and sense your feet are solid and heavy. And feel as though the feet are moving away from you, dense and heavy. And allow your feet to relax. Allow your feet to relax and let go. And if you have your legs extended, just feel them flopping out to the sides. Allow the legs to release, the shins, the calf, the knee and the kneecap, thigh and the back of the thigh. Allow the legs to release and let go. And feel as though the legs are moving away from you, solid and heavy and dense. And take your attention to your hands now, to the backs of your hands touching that surface beneath you. onto the fingertips, the fingers, the palm of the hands, and feel a softness in the palm of the hands. Allow the lower arm to let go, the elbow, the upper arm, the whole of the arm releasing down, moving away. And take your attention to the back and feel the vertebra release. So from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. Visualize each vertebra letting go, releasing down onto that support beneath you. And feel the whole of your back spread outwards. And feel your back widen, and at the same time, feel the length, the stretch, and the whole of the back spreading across the floor. And be aware of the amount of space that the body takes up, a small amount of space. And now take your visualization to your belly. And be aware of a softness in the belly. Slow, steady breath. Calm, quiet coming and going of the breath. We'll witness the rhythm, the separation of the breath. Pause and the still point. And feel as if the whole body is breathing, that the breath is breathing the body. Allow your abdomen to let go. And feel a softness in the belly, allowing your chest center to open out. And on each inhalation, feel the division of the breath. And allow this openness to create a space within your chest center, allowing the freedom to breathe mentally and physically. And allow this freedom to open out your heart center, creating a releasement here. And allow this center to be filled with peace. And feel this openness now spreading to the throat, releasing the voice, moving around the neck, to the back of your head, crown of your head, the scalp, and the space between the scalp and the skull, and even the hair on your head. And as you allow your face to let go and soften, lower jaw drops slightly. And feel the entire face release. Forehead, the eyes, the eyebrows, the eyelids relaxing into pools of darkness. Temples, the nose, the tip of your nose, cheeks, cheekbones, the upper lip and the lower lip, jaw, hinges of the jaw, chin, your ears, your earlobes, and feel your whole body releasing, sinking down onto the floor. So all you're aware of is the steady breath, that rise and fall of the belly as the breath moves in and out. And feel the breath, movement of the breath being the vitality within the stillness of your resting pose. So we'll practice yin yoga this evening. Actually, just need to get my egg timer. So you just start to stretch out through the whole body now. My timer. So I can time poses properly. So when we practice yin, so we hold the poses for time so that we can go deeper into the body. So it's typically, if you hold the poses for between 3 and 5 minutes, you can get deeper into deep connective tissue that forms our joints and the ligaments that hold our bones together. So these areas tend to be denser, they have far less blood supply than the muscles, and they respond well to these longer holds. So just a little bit out yin as you stretch out. And then so once you've stretched, so as the arms come back now, so we're going to just draw the knees in. So if you hug the knees in, so we're coming into Apanasana. So knees to chest, and just allowing the body to settle here. So you could close the eyes and just notice perhaps where you can release any holding or tension through the body. So we come onto the floor, we draw the knees in. So this is Apanasana, and it's an opportunity to turn inwards. So resting here, deep belly breathing to release the lower back. So we're stretching out our back muscles, our spine. So in Yin Yoga, we hold the pose for time to gently hydrate our tissues. And the deep fascia at the deep layer of our tissues. And fascia, it's a little bit like a sponge. So when it's dehydrated, it can become brittle in terms of our tissues, therefore easier to injure. So, of course, the opposite, tissue which is hydrated, malleable and healthy. And we can think of our fascia, so a bit like the pith of an orange, quite densely woven and covering every single muscle and bone, arteries, our veins, as well as all of our internal organs. And that fascial system isn't separate coverings, but one continuous structure. So from the crown of our head all the way through the body to the tips of the toes. So connecting each part of the body, all connected by this fascia. So as I mentioned, we're going to hold poses for time. And then, so once we've held the pose for about 3 minutes, then we'll come into an after pose. So when you come into your after pose, we could come into either Shavasana, so legs extended, or we might come into semi-supine. And I'll give you your cues, of course, when the 3 minutes is up, and then we can come into our after pose or rebound pose. And of course, that's just an opportunity for us to feel the after effects or the afterglow of the posture. So just coming up to 3 minutes now. And then if you slowly release, so either coming into semi-supine, or you might have your legs extended. And then you take the time here, just noticing what there is to notice. So feeling any effects of the posture on the body, the mind, any felt sensations. And then so from there, so we'll come into leg lock pose now. So if you draw your right knee in, And then you could leave your left leg where it is, or you might extend your left leg long, or you might have a little bend through that left knee. And again, we're just settling into the shape. Notice where you can relax into the pose a little bit more. So if you're holding a lot of tension through the shoulders, through the arms, notice where you can perhaps release a little. Nice spacious breathing here. It's an opportunity to close your eyes and to turn inwards as you come into the shape. So the pushing of the knee towards the chest, so it moderately opens up your hip joint. It tones the glutes, strengthens the lower back. So making sure that you're warm and comfortable throughout the practice. Noticing how the pose feels on this side. And we're thinking about being quite muscularly passive. So because we hold the poses for time, it's easy for the mind to wander off. So every time you notice that you're thinking, just come back to the breath. And take the breath and the awareness into the areas where you feel the stretch or the sensations in the body. So where the mind goes, the prana flows. And if we're thinking about something externally to ourselves, and that vital energy is moving out of the body. Whereas if we think about the area we're stretching and we're breathing into that area, we're mobilizing the prana, the chi, into the areas that need it most. So when we do our leg lock pose, so we work with the right leg first, so connecting with the ascending colon, and then we do the other side second, so the descending, connection with the descending colon, and then we're aiding our digestive process. So following the direction of peristalsis. So in the yin tradition, so we try to remain still, but obviously if you're not comfortable, then you could make an adjustment or maybe add props as you need to. So remembering when you're lying down, for a lot of the poses, you could always have a pillow underneath your head and just add support. If you've got a bent knee, you can always put a bolster or some padding underneath the knee. So just improvise as you feel is appropriate. And then when we come out of the pose on this side, again, you might come into Shavasana, you might extend the legs long, or you might decide to come into semi-supine again, or your after pose. And again, just turning inwards, noticing what there is to notice. And then so from there, from that rebound pose, so we can come into the pose on the other side. So this time, so we're drawing the left knee in now. And then you might have your right leg extended, you might have a little bend through the knee, might have the right leg bent, so whichever you prefer. And see how that feels as you come into the shape on this side. Again, it's an opportunity while we're lying down. It's nice sometimes just to close your eyes, just blow the breath. Take time to relax as much as you can. So in the yin poses, so we're seeking stillness. But of course, if you don't feel comfortable, then modify as necessary. And in the yin tradition, so we're looking for a deep tugging, sort of dull, achy sensation. So we're making sure that the sensation you feel doesn't go beyond that in our own bodies. We're seeking this compassionate edge, which is neither too much nor too little in terms of sensation. So looking out for any pain responses in the body. So that would be anything that feels sharp, spiky, electrical, or quick to happen. So do come out if you ever experience any of these sensations. And again, just noticing where you can soften around the face, perhaps around the throat. That's lovely. Noticing how the pose feels on this side. Does it feel different? Just breathing. Every time the mind wanders, just bringing it back to the breath. Again and again with patience. And again, from the pose on this side, just releasing the hands, release the arms. And once again, either coming into Shavasana or you might come into the semi-supine pose. So again, coming into our after pose. Once again, just noticing what there is to notice. And from here, we're going to prepare for a semi-supine twist. So if you bend your knees now, come into semi-supine. Have the arms just rolled away from the body. And bring the feet together. We can bring the knees together. And then from there, just move your right hip a little further over to the right. Let the knees roll over to the left. And then so you might bring your left palm over the navel there. And of course, add in any support as you need to. So you might add support underneath your head. You might add support between the thighs. You might have the knees a little bit higher or a little bit lower. Noticing how the belly gently pulls into the palm as you breathe in. And gently falls back as you breathe out. That's good. Once again, you can close your eyes, turning your attention to the slow, steady rhythm of your breath. So twists can be really helpful to restore equilibrium in our nervous system and to release tension in our spine. So twists are good for strengthening small muscles that link the vertebra and keep the whole structure free and mobile. Every nerve originates from the spinal cord. So every part of the body rejuvenates and heals and becomes vital. Staying with that gentle rhythm of your natural breath. And always coming back to that next refreshing inhale. Once again, noticing how the breath is the vitality within the stillness of the shape. So your head might remain in that same position, in the central position. You might have your head rolled over to the right to see what feels comfortable. Wearing down any restlessness with the breath. Always coming back to that next refreshing inhale. And so on the in breath now, so we can bring the head back to center. We can bring the knees back to center, releasing the hand, release the arm. Finding symmetrical, enjoying symmetrical here for a few breaths. Spacious breathing into the belly. And then we're thinking about coming into the pose on the other side now. So again, you can bring your feet together, bring your knees together. Arms can be rolled away from the body. The left hip slightly over to the left. And then let the knees roll over to the right. Come into the pose on the other side again, just rearranging your props as you need to. This time you might bring your right palm over the navel, so you have that felt sense of breath. You may leave your head in that central position or perhaps roll the head off to the left this time. Again, you could have the eyes closed as you turn inwards once again. As you come into the shape on the other side. So in yin yoga, we encourage the production of synovial fluid. And it's really important for our bones. It creates lubrication for our joints. And it provides nutrients for the joint. So settling on this side. So the twist, it helps to restore the spine's neutrality. So balancing the nervous system, massaging the organs of digestion. So it stimulates the urinary bladder, the gallbladder, the meridians. It also stimulate the heart and the lung meridians, so depending on the position of your arms. And just noticing how it feels as you find the shape on this side. holding your focus with that felt sense of breath underneath the hands. Gentle belly breathing. Enjoying that subtle movement created by the breath. And then this time, so bringing the head back to center, releasing the hands, bring the knees back to center. So you might come into semi-supine, you might take feet a little bit wider and roll the knees in for constructive rest. You might have the legs extended. So again, just finding your own variation of symmetrical now for your after pose. So once we've released tension from the spine, it's then very natural to come back to a symmetrical position to realign. And just feel the after effects of your lying down twist. So our next pose is going to be lying down supported bridge. Give you an opportunity, if you haven't already had a drink, if you want to just take a little pause. You've been on the floor now for, well, just over half an hour. So you might want to just take this little pause. So for a supported bridge pose, then you could use a block, you could use a bolster. And so we have to make sure that it goes directly underneath the sacrum. So make sure it's not across the lower back. So just in line with the hips. So if you've got your block or your bolster, just in your own time, so we can come down into semi-supine. So head, neck and spine in a straight line. And then so you can engage the feet, just lift up into your bridge pose. And then you can slide your block or your bolster underneath the sacrum. So just in line with your hips. Make yourselves comfortable. And then so we're coming into our supported bridge. So just make sure that's comfortable underneath your sacrum. If you don't find that prop comfortable for any reason, you could come out of it, you could come back to semi-supine, and you could take a rolling, so a pelvic tilt as an alternative might be a nice alternative pose. You get a little bit of movement. So nice spacious breaths as you so coming into whichever variation you want to come into. So pulling the shoulder blades together a little to lift and open up the heart space. That's lovely. Tucking your tailbone forward to lengthen the lumbar spine. Neck is long, Palms perhaps upwards to encourage an openness through the chest. Or you might rest the hands onto the body. It can help you to feel a little bit more grounded. We find some spaciousness through the belly. And the pose help to relieve headache and to promote deeper relaxation. So it can help to soothe the nervous system, relieving anxiety, and improve digestion, also respiration and circulation. So it can reduce the feeling of heaviness in the abdomen, balances and tones the kidneys, the adrenals, the thyroid, also the parathyroid gland, and nourishes the different stages of menopause. And of course, Yin Yoga is very deeply connected with Chinese medicine. In Chinese medicine, they talk about the meridians, so this huge network of energy channels. Each meridian is linked to a different organ, also to our emotions, and they have a very deep impact on how we think and feel and on our overall well-being. And so from your supported bridge pose, so you can lift the hips a little now, and then just gently slide your block or your bolster from underneath you now. And then we'll come back to our base position. And again, just coming into the after pose of your choice. And so from there now, so just gonna get a little bit of movement. So in between, we will get a little bit of movement through the body. So from your after pose, just gonna draw the knees in, and then just take a gentle cycling movement now with the legs. Yeah, a little bit more movement through the legs. You can always tuck the hands underneath the sacrum if you want to have a little bit more support as you do that. And then we can take backward cycling. And from there, just drawing the knees in, releasing the hands from underneath the sacrum, and then bring the soles of the feet back to the floor. And then we come back to semi-supine. So from there, so our next pose we'll come into is legs up the wall. So if you find a bit of wall space, we will stay in that pose for, well, 5 minutes. Obviously, if you want to come out before then you come out before then. So when we come into legs up the wall, so find your wall space. You can come with your hips sideways on, and then you can slide your legs up the wall. You can have the arms alongside the body. You might cut the back of the head. You might have the arms overhead. Again, if you like having the block or the bolster underneath your sacrum, you could do it that way. You can have a cushion for your head. You can always have a covering, a light blanket over you. So there's that. Another variation you might, if you don't have wall space, or if you prefer, you could have your legs over a chair so that the knees are bent, or if the legs are up the wall, they don't have to be. So a 90-degree angle can be nice for the lower back. So if you can create that 90-degree angle, but your legs, they can be straight, but they don't have to be straight. You can have a little bend at the knee if you need to. So just again, modify as you need to. If you don't want to do legs up the wall, you come into Shavasana. So classical Shavasana would be an alternative pose for you. So we're coming into the pose now. There's a third optional block underneath the sacrum. See how you're getting on there? Ah, that looks good. Okay, lovely. So often the simplest poses have the most profound effects. So from calming the nervous system to strengthening the immune system. And legs up the wall, it reverses fluids, blood flow, and energy. So the flow of prana, that vital energy. So maintaining a healthy life force energy. So rebalancing the energy flow through the nadis or the meridians. And the pose, it supports the lymphatic system. So allowing the lymphatic system, allowing oxygenated blood to flow to the upper extremities. So moving lymphatic fluid, which helps to break down bacteria and to remove toxins from the cells. And then we have the glymphatic system, which sweeps away bacteria that the lymphatic system has filtered by the lymph nodes. So ridding the body of unwanted pathogens. And the pose, it helps to activate the parasympathetic rest digest state, slowing down the breath, stimulating the vagus nerve, so the longest nerve in the body. So it runs from the brain, through the throat, through the heart, through the diaphragm, and it ends up at the gut. So an example, if we've been rushing around, the vagus nerve senses stress and sends a message to the brain, and the brain in turn releases cortisol, so that's stress hormone. And the pose is really helpful also on a physical level, so relieving aching muscles, aching joints, swollen ankles, swollen feet. So it's great if you've been sitting for a long time or standing all day, or if you've had a long journey, particularly on a plane. So it's known as the great rejuvenator, reduces swelling, particularly in the legs. It enhances the circulatory system, it helps to neutralize the body, it opens and quietens the mind, and it allows fatigue to drain away quite gradually. So some of the benefits. And of course, with your legs at the wall, you can take some gentle turns at the feet, so you can ease into the ankle joint. You might take some gentle wrist rotations while you're there. So taking those Making those circles in both directions. And so as you release, so it's 5 minutes in legs up the wall. So we can think about coming out now. You might like to just start to bend your knees, slide, fold the feet down the wall. So you bring the knees in towards the chest. If you can, you could roll over onto your left side. So you just come into a nice fetal position. So taking your time there and just making sure you don't get up suddenly. And then from there, so we can come back to semi-supine now. And then just lifting up into your seated position. So I'll just bring you back up for a moment. So our next pose, it is going to be reclining butterfly or Supta Baddha Konasana. I just brought you up again. You might just want to have a little drink. And then we can move into our next pose. Also, when you come into this lying down cobbler pose, so we're going to be here for about 3 minutes, I should say. You could bring your props, so you have props underneath your thighs, you might have a cushion underneath your head, so that you really set yourselves up comfortably for it. So just use your props in an imaginative way so that you feel really comfortable. And then so for the pose, so we just bring ourselves down into semi-supine, and you can just roll the arms away from the body. So you can bring your feet together, you can bring your knees together, and then just roll the knees out to the sides. So we're connecting the soles of the feet. You might move the feet a little bit further away from you. That just softens the position. The arms might stay where they are. You might bring the arms overhead. You might take an interlace of the fingers, cup the back of the head. As I said, you could provide some padding underneath the thighs or underneath the knees. Just take your time, make sure that you're comfortable. So the pose, it can help to reduce high blood pressure. It can help with, again, it can help with menopause symptoms. And psychologically, so the pose, it really allows a deep opening at the core of our body. And in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali writes about this great golden womb of the universe. And the entire universe is held within that womb. So while you're lying here, you might be reminded of this primordial place of complete rest, of ultimate relaxation. And the pose, it improves blood circulation, opens the heart, pelvic region, the inner thighs, and gives an often much needed stretch to the knees. So it's good for keeping anxiety in check, and also be helpful to correct a prolapse of the uterus, so yogic management. And bringing awareness to the back of the body now, and all of the points resting on the earth. The shoulders, the back, the skull, back of the hips, the ankles. Just taking some spacious grounding breaths into the body, resting back into that space. And perhaps visualizing your roots going all the way down into the earth. That's lovely. So nice and open through the front of the body. Noticing where you can soften your edges with the out breath. And then so from here, so you can release the hands, you can just gently bring the legs back together, just give the legs a little space to come back together. And then from here, so for your after pose, so a nice counter pose can be constructive rest if that feels comfortable. So you can take the feet wider and let the knees roll in, so the inner knees are touching. Or of course you could come into semi-supine, or you could come into Shavasana. So again, whichever after pose feels most comfortable. So as you visualize your roots, just take a deep breath now, release any worries down into the earth. Just let it all go. So that we can come out into a nice neutral headspace. Softening the face. Option to bring the hands onto the body. Again, we're just noticing what there is to notice here. And then so our next pose, again, it's a lying down pose. We're going to come into reclining pigeon, or sometimes called eye of the needle. So, and if you want to just take a little pause, if you wanted to have a drink, and of course, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but I know some of you prefer pigeon on your front. So if you prefer to do pigeon pose on your front, then of course that's an option as well. Always being so a little bit more careful with your knees for pigeon on your front, of course. When you're lying on your back doing the reclining version, it's not very likely to sort of do anything to the knee. Whereas if you're coming into pigeon pose on your front, then there's more opportunity for you to overstretch the knee. So it's just to be aware of that, and obviously to be very careful. So if you're in doubt, come into pigeon pose on your back. And then so we'll do it on both sides, of course. So again, we want to, you're coming onto your back for the pose. We're coming into semi-supine, and again we can use props. So there are different stages that you can come into. So from semi-supine, So you can bring your right foot on top of your left knee, and you might just stay there. So that might be as far as you want to go. So you start to feel that taxing the outer right hip. Or you could put some props underneath your left foot. So you're getting a little bit more sensation through that right hip. So that might be as far as you want to go. Or you might bring the legs a little bit closer to you and bring your right hand through the center between the legs and take an interlace of the fingers to the back of your left thigh. So it's whichever feels most comfortable. Some people take hold around the front of the left shin. So that's another option. So either interlacing the fingers to the back of the thigh or around the front of the shin. Just seeing what feels most comfortable. Should you flex the feet as well? That can stabilize the knee. So finding your most comfortable variation of the shape. So we get that sensation through the outer hip, across the belly of the buttock, so the piriformis. Once again, breathing into sensation. Where can you soften? So wearing down any resistance with the spacious breathing. So softening with your exhale. And noticing within the shape, getting that deep tugging sensation. And does that deep tugging, does it increase with time? Does that release a little with time? So getting exactly that right level of sensation through the body, through the areas that we're working, that is neither too much nor too little. And again, just noticing where you can soften a little bit more into the pose with your out breath. Taking your awareness and your breathing into wherever you can feel that sensation, wherever you can feel it most within your body. Softening all around the face, softening around the belly so that you can receive each breath freely. And then so preparing to release from the pose on this side, so we can release the hands, bring the left sole of the foot to the floor. You can come back to semi-supine. If you're in pigeon on your front, you might come into pose of child for a moment here. Finding symmetrical, realigning the spine. And then we'll come into the shape on the other side. So whichever variation you prefer, either so left foot on top of the right knee. You might lift up through that right foot, maybe bring some padding underneath the foot. You might bring your left hand through the center between the legs. Take that interlace to the back of your right thigh. Or you might take hold around the front of your right shin. So again, just see how it feels on this side. Making sure that you're comfortable. So taxing the bony structure, piriformis, mobilizing the prana, the chi. Noticing again, where can you soften into the shape? So wearing down any tiredness, any restlessness with the breath. Up next, refreshing inhale. So always keeping that compassionate edge. So the compassionate edge, which once reached, is neither too much nor too little. So finding that balance. So again, where can you soften? Can you soften through the arms, the shoulders, through the hands? Just noticing as the breath smooth and even. So oftentimes, if we go beyond that compassionate edge, that's when you might notice that the breath starts to become a little bit ragged, or sometimes we might hold our breath. And so slowly thinking about releasing from the pose on this side, so releasing the hands, bringing the right sole of the foot back to the floor, just unraveling, finding symmetrical, coming into whichever after pose feels most comfortable for you. And again, just take your time. So again, we're noticing what there is to notice. And then from here, so over onto our front. So you could just roll over onto your front, or again, you might take a little pause. You might want to have a drink. And then so as you come onto your front now, so you have some options here. So we can stretch the legs back behind. Come into Sphinx pose. You can bring the elbows directly underneath the shoulders now. So you can bring the forearms a little bit further forward if you want to. So alternatively, you might come up onto your elbows, so the elbows are underneath the shoulders. You might cup the face with the hands, so you might come into Makrasana. Or you could have your your arms folded in front of you. You might rest your forehead onto your folded arms. So whichever variation you'd like to come into. We're not holding this for 3 minutes. We'll hold this for just about a minute now. And then we'll get a little bit more movement through the body. That's lovely. So opening up through the front of the body, the heart. And then whichever position you've come into, we can slide the hands back now. So the hands are alongside the chest. You push back through your palms. And now we'll sit back towards the heels. So finding your stretched out opposite child position now. Stretching out along the spine. And then from there, so you can just start to slowly lift the head. And then if you come up into all fours now, we'll come into our cat stretch. So we'll get a little bit of movement through the body now. So as you breathe in, just lifting up through your tailbone at the back hollow and the chin lift up. And then breathing out, we're going to drop the tailbone down, back arches up, chest. Navel draws back towards the spine. Just find your flow here. So either stay to cat stretch, or you might come into neutral spine now. We come into downward facing dog, stepping the toes under here, sinking. Sit bones back towards the heels. We can lift the knees, take the tailbone towards the ceiling. Head comes between the arms. Chest drawing back towards the thighs. So you can come into downward facing dog. Have a little pedal out in your dog pose. So from there, you might walk the hands towards the feet, or walk the feet towards the hands. So you might come into Uttanasana, you come into forward bend. You've got some choices here. And then if you're in Uttanasana, you can engage the core. We can slide the hands back the legs, so we can make it up into a standing position before we come into lying down again. And then so as you come up into standing, so you can just soften through the knees, just come into nice easy twist now. So again, just a little bit of movement through the body. So within the yin yoga tradition, so we don't warm up for yin because we always want the muscles to be cool and at rest, so that we can connect with the deeper areas of the body. It's nice to get a little bit of movement there. Completed all of our yin pose there. And then as you release now from the twist, so just get some gentle side stretches into the body now. So just easing out laterally. Just gently take that from side to side. That's nice. And then as you come back up, so coming into your mountain pose, so just put your hands to the tops of the thighs now. Bend the knees, hinge forward from the hips, just sliding the hands down the legs now, towards the ankles, towards the feet. You can come into nice dangling forward bend, releasing the head, the neck, the upper body. So coming into Uttanasana. And then from there, just engaging your core, slowly slide the hands back up the legs, taking that into your gentle back bend. And then coming back up, so back up into your mountain pose. And then from there, so we'll come back down onto our mat. So you might want to have a drink. We're going to come into a seated position. So we'll do pranayama practice. So as always, you could sit on a chair, doesn't have to be cross-legged. Whatever position feels comfortable for you. You can use a block or cushion underneath your feet. So I thought we'd do some alternate nostril breathing, but you might want to blow your nose before you start. If you notice you're congested, it's not always the best practice if the nostrils are blocked. So if there's just a little blockage, if slight congestion, you can often release it just by putting, so you put the fist or the hands, the fingers underneath the opposite armpit, and that will release the opposite nostril. So you can try that. So alternatively, you could do a different breath practice. You could practice a gentle ujjayi, or you could practice mindful breathing, choosing the five coherent breaths. So whichever you prefer. And when we practice our ujjayi, so ujjayi is really good. Nadishadana, I should say, is really good for balancing the two sides of the brain, so the two hemispheres. And you feel the effects quite quickly. We can do it in a couple of ways. We can do it with the right hand. So you might fold the index finger and the middle finger into the palm, and then you might use your right thumb to open and close the right nostril and your ring finger to open and close the left nostril. So you could do it that way, so just alternating the current. Or we could do the hands-free version. So whichever you prefer. So we'll just set ourselves up comfortably, relaxing shoulders now. Spine is nicely up. And just focus on your natural breath as it flows. Focus on the breath in your upper abdominal space, so that space between your navel and your breastbone. So I'm going to talk you through the hands-free version. So breathing in now through your left nostril, breathing out through your right, breathing in through your right nostril, breathing out through your left. So that's one round. Breathing in through the left, breathing out through the right, breathing in through the right, breathing out through the left. And just continuing. So we finish the round that we're on by breathing out through the left nostril. And then so from here, so just thinking about the final relaxation, just making sure that you're going to be nice and warm and comfortable. Just maintaining that nice, quiet, inward focus. And taking this time, so take this time to make sure that you're really comfortable. So adding in your support, so your extra props if you'd like to. So create a really cozy nest for yourselves. And just continue to notice the breath, so entering and leaving the nostrils. And notice that the incoming breath is a cooler breath, and the outgoing breath, the outgoing breath, is subtly warmer. Inhaling, breathing up the back of the body now to the crown of the head. So like the sun rising, and the breath leaves the body. So from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. So the exhale, you can think of it as the evening or the dusk of the breath. So breathing in the light daytime of the breath. Breathing out the dark, peaceful nighttime of the breath, with all the twinkling stars. Breathing in day, breathing out night. Exhaling any tension or stress. And as you breathe in, perhaps inhaling all of the natural colours of the world. Exhaling any tiredness, tightness, or tension. Breathing in the colours of the season, the vibrancy of nature. And feel it through the whole surface of your body. Light of the season. All of you porous to the light, to the colours. Breathing them in. So we breathe in that natural expression of lightness, the outside to the inside. Noticing any areas of tension. Breathing light in through the skin to the whole body. And noticing any stuckness and releasing with the exhale. Inhaling the sunlight of early evening, early summer evening. Breathing in through the top of your head. And let everything soften and open. She let the light in, cells opening like flowers, receiving that sunlight. Drawing light into the face, into the throat, shoulders, all bathed in golden light. Arms, the elbows, the wrists, the hands. Each of the fingers glowing with golden light. Pouring into the chest, into the belly. And feel this light now filling the pelvis, the hips, allowing everything to relax. Taking that golden light into the thighs, the backs of your knees, the calves, the ankles, the feet, the toes, and your spacious body unlimited. Every breath, breathe the light into every surface of your body, through the top of your head, and feel the light flow all the way down to the toes, and the solidity of the earth, strength of the earth. And feel the lower body, that living root system, expanding in all directions, embodying and merging with the earth and all of its depth. And from here, let your consciousness rise up towards the surface and discover the landscape. And notice your personal landscape presenting itself, connecting to every other landscape. And it's all you, staying in its presence, both above and below the surface. So rooted, embodying the depths of your roots, rich, abundant, and at home within yourself. And at the same time, allow the sky to flood in. Allow the clouds to guide you. And let your authentic self shine. In the words of Leonard Cohen, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. How the light gets in. So as we think about drawing this practice towards a close now, I'm just bringing gradually a little bit of movement again through the body, through the hands, the feet, the fingers, your toes, taking your time. Taking any of the movements or stretches that your body might need now. And so once you've moved and you've stretched a little, or as much as you need to, so just thinking about rolling over onto one side. So you can come into a nice comfortable fetal position. The last few moments of relaxation.